Hello and welcome back, GSMST AP CSP students. Here we're going to be going over formatting functions and if statements within an Excel spreadsheet or inside of a Google Sheet. This is for those who may have not understood everything we did in class, or if your class was one of the classes that didn't get to everything, this is also for you. So hopefully this can help you complete your assignment for today. So firstly, let's go over the first thing you want to do inside the spreadsheet. So this spreadsheet you were given in Google Classroom by your specific AP Computer Science Principles teacher. So make sure you were pulled up the spreadsheet called Spreadsheet Basics. Once you've done that, you should see the Netflix TV shows and movies tab at the very bottom. Mine says demo because I'm using this as a demo, but you should see something like Netflix TV shows and movies, and then you should see Hulu shows with You Try, which is going to be your homework or your assignment for the day. Okay. So let's go ahead and fill out the Netflix TV shows and movies sheet, and then you will then fill out, after we go through everything, the Hulu shows sheet. So firstly, let's go over how you format, or in this case, how you filter different things. So first thing we're going to do is go over here and we're going to filter this first row here with our title, type, release year, all these other different things. We're going to go over here and we're going to right click and we're going to go to create filter. What this does is it creates a filter within your spreadsheet where you can then filter things A to Z, Z to A, and it's really easy to sort things. So for example, if I wanted to sort the title of these movies and shows from Z to A, I'll go up here to this little button here on title, and I'll do sort Z to A, and you can see here we've started from Z and we're going all the way down to the A's or until we get to the numbers. So I'm going to sort that back A to Z. We can also sort by runtime. So if I do Z to A, it's going to give me the longest runtime movies and shows, and then it will show me at the very bottom the shortest. So it's a really great thing to filter so you can actually sort things. So that is filtering. Next thing we want to do is we want to actually freeze this first row as well. So as you can see, when we scroll down, we cannot see what categories these different data types and data points are attributing to, right? We don't see that, oh, these are for votes or this one is for rating. We can assume, but we can't see. Freezing helps us to freeze this at the top so that it does not leave the top, so we can always know what column we are on. So we're going to go over to 1 again. We're going to go to view, and then we're going to go to freeze, and we can do 2 rows, 1 row, etc. We're going to freeze 1 row since this is a row. And now when we scroll down, that is now stuck or frozen at the top. So now we can see what all of our different data points are attributed to. Now that we've done what we can right now on this side of the spreadsheet, let's go over to the other side of the spreadsheet. Scroll, 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 where you have this dividing line, and we're going to fill in these columns. Also, you do need to make sure in the assignment that you have sorted A to Z on title, or you may not see what's over here on the right side. Okay, so just make sure you sorted A to Z for title. Now you've done that, let's go over our first function, which is going to be the average function. So functions inside of Excel or any spreadsheet program like Google Sheets, what we're working in right now, they all basically do the same thing, and it's very similar to how we write functions inside of Python, right? So first off, one thing you always do when you're writing a function inside of Google Sheets, Microsoft Excel, is you always do enter. So you go to the cell you want, I'm in cell M4, equals, and then you say the name of the function, kind of like you're calling the name of the function inside of Python. So in this case, I want the average function. And just like any I just said it, function inside of Python, you have parentheses you have to use. So I'm going to open it up with the parentheses, and if you look right here, we have this little contextual window that comes up. So we have average, and then you see in there, we have the different parameters that average can take. So we have value 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And basically, if you put values in here and separate them by a comma, you can essentially get the average of all the different numbers you put in there. We're not going to quite do it that way, but we're going to do a range of values, and we're just going to use one parameter. So in this case, we want to get the average runtime of all Netflix movies. So we're going to scroll over, and you see how our little contextual window, it follows and floats with us. And we're going to go and we're going to find runtime. And since we're trying to get the runtime of all Netflix shows, we're going to simply go up to here where we have the E, and we're going to click on that because that is the column that holds all of our runtime data. And so it goes from E to E. Then I'm going to, since I'm done with this formula, I don't have any more data I need to average out. I'm going to add in my final parentheses, press enter, and you can see that we got 68.5. So that is the average of all the runtimes of all 2,900 and something of the Netflix shows and movies that are contained within this spreadsheet. Yes, it's a lot of them. So that's average. Moving on to the next thing, we have average if. So average if is, again, start with an equal, average, and then you just add if, and just like every other function, we're going to add in our parenthesis opener. And this one does have slightly different parameters than average. So here we have three parameters that are specifically laid out. You have the criteria range, comma, criterion, comma, average range. So I'm just going to show you how this works, and then we can talk about it. So first off, again, this contextual window is amazing. It will follow you, and we need to find the range where we need the criteria. So if you looked at our we're trying to get the average runtime of only PG movies. So we're going to go over to our rating where we have PG, PG-13, all that good stuff. And we're going to go and we're going to select that whole column, which is just D. Right? So then we're going to do our comma. Once we put our comma, then it's going to show us the next thing we need, which is the criterion. And this is where we get into writing in strings or writing in things to check for. In this case, we're checking for all of the cells that have PG in it because we're looking for all the movies that are PG. So we're going to wrap PG all uppercase as it is inside of that column inside of quotes, just like we would a string inside of Python. Finally, we're going to do another comma, and now we see we've highlighted the average range, and we're simply going to get the runtime. So we're going to go over and we're going to select E as in the column of E, end our parentheses, and now we have 106.0. So what this is saying here, and when you click in the cell, you can view what you have in there here. We're taking the average of everything that's in column D if it is equal to PG. And if it is equal to PG, I want you to take the average in that same row from row E. So for example, we have PG right here. So within this row, we have PG. So 149 in the runtime column is going to be what is attributed to this PG movie. So that 149 is going to be in that average range. Same thing with this PG at 993, etc., etc. And so it's going down the whole row, all 2,900 in something rows, and it's checking to see which one of these rows inside of the PG or inside of the rating column is PG, and then where does that correspond inside the runtime comma, and it's going to take the average of that. Enter that. And then one other thing I'm going to show you here, which I'll also show you down here, is that we're going to do the same exact thing. We're using average if in this cell right here. This is M6 for PG-13 movies, but instead of me rewriting that entire formula over again, I just have to go to PG movies. There's this little handlebar, I like to call it, in the bottom right hand corner of the cell. You just click on that, hold it, and then you drag it down. And then bam, now you have the same formula in both of these cells, in both M5 and M6. And so now we can just go up here and edit this formula for PG-13. So instead of looking for all of the movies with PG, we're going to add in -13, and then bam, 108.6. And I have a solution here, so those are all correct. Awesome. Now let's move on to COUNTIF. And COUNTIF is a version of an if statement, kind of like average if. So count if you've met a certain criteria. So we're going to do, like always, equals count if, and you can see how it already tells you what it does, a conditional count across a range. We're going to do our parentheses, and then we have our little contextual window, and we have two parameters, the range and the criterion. This is pretty easy. We're going to go back over to our rating. We're going to click D up at the top to select that whole thing. And essentially we're going to do another comma, and we're trying to get the criteria. Well, within D, we want to count how many movies are rated R. So if we go back here, we're going to look, R is just R. So we're going to do inside of our quotes R. So it's going to count every single instance of R within D column. Okay. Enter. 546. Same thing over here. And again, we don't have to copy this again. We want to find in the same column all the movies that match TVMA or TV mature. Cool. We just copy this formula down by using the little handlebar at the bottom. Copy it down, and then we just go in and we change it. So instead of R, we're going to do TV-MA. Enter. Bam. Everything is good in the city. So that is average, average if, and count if. Let's move on to some more stuff. So now we're going to go on to good old simple if. No average, no count, just if. And again, we're going to start it on this first one, and then we'll attribute it to everything else in that row afterwards. So we're going to do equals if, and again, that's just the name of the function. And we're going to open up our parentheses, and we see we have three parameters. You have logical expression, comma, value if true, comma, value if false. Awesome. So here, what we're going to do is we're going to give a logical expression. So in this case, we're going to give a recommendation based on the IMBD score. So I'm going to select this row's IMBD score, which is 7.8. And we're going to say if F2, which contains that score, is greater than 7.5, then, which is comma, right? You see how once I put that comma there, it switches focus to then the value of true. So if this is true, if whatever's in F2 is greater than 7.5, then we're going to print out the statement or say inside the cell in quotes, great show / movie. Apparently in all caps, because that's what my keyboard wants. And now we're going to put another comma, and you're going to see it's going to switch to value if false. So if, on the other hand, it is less than 7.5, then we should say skip this show / movie. And again, you can put everything you want here. The whole point is that you know how to do the formula. So you can replace what I put there and put it whatever you want for this particular instance, but you can put whatever you want. But you just want to make sure you know how to do it. We're going to close our parentheses as always, press enter. And as you can see here, because 7.8 is clearly going to be greater than 7.5, we have chosen great show / movie. Now you might be wondering, we can't do what we did before where we just kind of drag it down, because again, we had to drag it down once by the little handlebar versus now we have, look at how many things we have. We're not going to drag it down that far. So an easy way to do that is by double clicking. So go over here. You see how the cursor has changed to this plus like it has been the last couple times. Instead of doing this where we're dragging it, we're simply going to double click it. So once it turns into the plus, 1, 2, and then it gives you all of the different values. So again, you can then go up here, and if you wanted to, you can sort it. So I can sort it Z to A. So all my skip this movies are first, or I can sort it A to Z. And now all my great movies and shows are up first. So pretty cool stuff. But I'm going to go back and I'm going to do A to Z up here because again, I don't want to mess up our sheet. So that's that. Now we're going to use ifs, which again is a variation of an if statement. But instead of only being able to put in one argument, so if this is true, do this. If it's not true, do this. We can put in multiple arguments. So let's go on and do this. So again, as always, equal ifs, right? Call the name, then do your open parentheses. And then here you can see in our little contextual window, we have condition 1, value 1, condition 2, value 2, condition 3, value 3, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So we're going to do runtime details for this one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to my runtime, And so I'm going to say if, and I'm going to go to the first cell right here, the 75, which is the runtime for this first row that I'm in. If E2, you don't want to hard code this. You want to do a reference, because that reference is what's going to allow you to actually fill in everything else. You're not putting in 75. You're putting in the cell. And that's a reference. It's almost like the cell is a variable because it holds data, just like a variable. Anyways, if, or ifs in this case, whatever is in E2 is greater than 150 or over 2.5 hours, because this is in minutes, of course, then after the comma, what do we want to do? We want to say this is too long. It's just too long, right? It's a long movie. 2.5 hours is a long time. It's ridiculous. So too long, don't want to watch it. Next step is our next condition. So we're going to do the same thing, ifs, but we're not going to restate ifs, but thinking about it in human form, if whatever's in E2 is greater than 60. So if it is not greater than 150, but greater than 60, you can say after the comma, this is a decently long, I'm going to say this is between an hour and 2.5 hours. Stunning. Then we're going to do our last one, which is ifs, again, in our mind, but we're not going to write ifs. E2 is less than, right, 60, meaning it's less than an hour, comma, we can then say this is short. And then, of course, as always, we want to end this whole thing with a closing parentheses. Bam. I'm also going to have to make this a little bit bigger. So as you can see here, this is between 150 and 60. So it says this is between an hour and 2.5 hours. Again, you can write whatever you want. This is what I wrote. And since we use references to cells instead of hard coding 75, we can now again go over here to our little handle on our right hand side, go over where we have our plus and then double tap. And now we have all these. So again, we can do some sorting, A to Z. We have all of our numbers between, we have these are shorts, and then we have some of these. Ooh, that's a good one. So I'm going to undo this whole thing. So we have a couple of them that don't meet. So what I need to do actually is say less than or equal to 60. Make sure that I actually do that. Because you saw how I had NAs at the bottom, because it's like, well, if it's 60, it's not less than 60 and it's not greater than 60, it's just 60. You have to account for that. So that was bad logic on my part. Learn something. So now we can do A to Z. And now it should all be there. So now, there you go. Perfect. So I'm going to again go and sort it back. A to Z for a title to get it all worth. Awesome. And then finally, we're going to look at data validation. So again, we're going to do this right here. I'll go to the to J2, or the first row in this column. I'm going to go up to data on our ribbon, and then we're going to go to data validation. Once we go to data validation, you're going to get this little data validation rules window on your right hand side, and you're going to click add new rule, or just add a rule. It defaults to drop down, which is what we want. There's awesome things in here. You can look at that later. We're going to do a drop down right now. And we're just going to do days of the weeks. So we're going to do, without the one, Monday. Why is this? Okay, I'm about to say, why is everything in caps? It's because I had it on caps. Tuesday, Wednesday. If I misspell these, don't judge me too hard, okay? It's been a long day, and I'm a programmer, not an English teacher, so just be mindful of that. And then Sunday. No, I spelled Sunday. So here you have now created a drop down that has options Monday through Sunday, and then you can also give them different colors. So Monday's red, Tuesday is blue, Wednesday is a nice green, Thursdays we're gonna make it a yellow. Friday we're gonna make it a purple. Saturday we're gonna make it a different type of purple, and then Sunday we're gonna make it like a low red. Cool. Now we're gonna press, with this out the way, done. And so now we can attribute any of these. So now we have Monday. Oh, I spelled Monday wrong. That's totally fine. Again, I am not an English teacher, so forgive me for that. I can also edit this. So if I go here, I can edit it and I can actually add the A before I do my whole attributing it to everything. Let me make sure everything else is spelled correctly. It is. Now we're done. Wait, did it not change? Okay, there it goes. And so now this is a little tricky with the drop down. Also, let me make this go away. But you just hit in the cell where the background, where the drop down isn't, and then you click the little handle, and then it attributes it. So now all these are beautiful and colorful. It just put them in order. So it goes from Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then it just does it all around. You can go in and then just change these to whatever you want. Okay. Next thing we're going to do is just checking what I have to do. We're going to do formatting, conditional formatting. And we're going to do this. We're going to do this for rating. Kind of like what we did over here. For rating, we're going to fill it in. We're going to go over here and we're going to select this whole entire row for D. We're going to go to format and then go to conditional formatting. And then here we're going to add some rules. So here, format cells if text contains, and then I'm going to do PG. And then if the text contains PG, I'm going to make the text color white. And I'm going to make the background color a nice blue. Done. So that's one. I'm going to do if the text contains R, and I think R just makes sense if it is white text and it is a black background, because it's really serious, It's like, oh, something's about to happen really bad in there. Next thing we're going to do if the text contains TVMA. And this one, I'm going to do red on top of black. So TVMA is red and black. This isn't the prettiest, y'all. I want y'all to play around with this. You don't have to do exactly what I'm doing. I'm just showing you how you can do formatting, right? So everything I'm doing, I'm just showing you how to do the functions or how to do the validation, the data formatting. But I don't want you to copy what I'm doing. I want you to do your own flair and style. I'm pretty basic when it comes to colors. I'm no match for the other AP Computer Science teacher, Mr. Nguyen, who is a color fanatic. So, and then you do that for everything else. I might as well go ahead and finish it up. I don't want to, so I'm not. So you could do that for everyone. So here we have rules. So again, you can edit them. So maybe I don't want the background to be blue for PG-13. I actually want it to be yellow. That looks ugly, but you can see how you can change them and you can update them all at once. You don't have to go individually per cell, which is great. Next thing we're going to do, I think this is the final thing we have to do, is create a chart. Charts are pretty easy. If you ever use Excel or you've used Sheets, you should know how to do it. But if you don't, that's why I'm here. So we're going to go over here to our count ifs. We have number of rated R movies, number of TVMA movies. We can select both these cells, go up to insert, and then in the insert, you can insert either a chart or a table, but I'm going to do a chart. And then it automatically, in this case, it creates the best chart possible, which in this case, they think is a pie chart. But you can change it to a bar graph. You can change it to another type of bar graph. You can change it to a line graph. You can do just about any graph you can think of. You have to be mindful of what data you're trying to represent. And then, of course, using your good math computational skills, decide which is the best way to represent that data. But in this case, I think we're just going to stick with a good old-fashioned pie graph or pie chart. You can change, what this says. You can change how big these are, so you can make the font a lot bigger. You can change the colors here. So maybe I don't like this blue. I want it to be green. Again, I'm not trying to make this look pretty. I'm trying to make y'all understand all the functionality that spreadsheet programs like Google Sheets, like Microsoft Excel have, and how they're not just glorified calculators. They can be so much more. So I believe I've taught you everything. Let's just go through it. We did freeze and filters. We did average and average if. We did count if. We did conditional formatting where we had the colors. We did data validation where we did drop downs. We did ifs. We did charts / graphs. And we did basic editing and formatting. Beautiful. We did everything. So, and this is what the one that we looked at. Again, you can do conditional formatting anywhere you want. But that is the end of this tutorial. Now for your homework, you need to do the Hulu shows. So we just did the demo of the Netflix TV shows and movies. Now you're going to do Hulu shows, and you don't have quite as many as you had to do for Netflix shows, but you're just going to follow the instructions on your right here. And you'll have a picture of me when you get yours. And you're going to follow it, and you're going to use these tools here. And just in case you don't remember, exit drawing. Okay, I hope it didn't stop. Did it stop? I hope it didn't. Stunning. So, and you can go up to Google Classroom where I have posted, for instance, in this classroom, I posted a reference sheet where it goes through everything we just said. So it tells you how to conditionally format. It tells you how to create drop-down menus. It tells you how to do ifs, count if, average if. So if you are confused about what I just did, this is a great reference sheet as well. With that being said, thank you for listening. If you're from GSMST, hello. If you're not, hello. All right, have a great day. Mr. Holmes Williams, out.